Let's get nuts.
Ozzy Osbourne. Poor old devil passed away there a couple of weeks ago.
So they tell us anyway.
I just let know he was at death's door. Yeah, nearly, but
He did his last show there the other day, didn't he? About a month
ago. Yeah, so I came across him he came up on YouTube, Ozzy Osbourne. No, I wasn't really into him, like I kind of not really into rock music and stuff. But I just kind of knew Ozzy Osbourne as the mad kind of druggy guy.
He kind of became more popular
with the Osbourne TV show, or the reality show.
Yeah.
And he was just roaring, Sharon.
Yeah, I only saw the ads, never really watched it.
Yeah.
I remember seeing him throwing a brick over the wall into his neighbour's garden or something. This guy's fucking mad bastard.
And sure, I kind of knew Sharon more because watching X Factor and stuff growing up, and she was the judge.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't realise she was so nuts. But she'd have to be nuts for putting up with him. But like I already heard there, was it last week as well, another mad story about him was when he was in a rampage off his head and drugs and drink probably someday, and he had a shotgun at home and he shot 17 of their pet cats.
Oh my God. And
he was waiting under the stairs for Sharon to come home with the gun in his hand.
Jesus.
And then there was another story where he's there with one of the band managers or something. And Sharon was there at home and he was on whatever he was on. And he just got up off his chair and went over to Sharon and he says, well, we just had a chat there and we both agreed that you got to die.
Oh my God.
And he was going to strangle her.
Oh yeah.
And then the other fella stepped in, pulled her away, and the cops were called and everything.
Yeah, he got arrested or something, didn't he?
Yeah, he got arrested.
No memory of it then.
He got arrested and he woke up inside the cell and there was shit smeared along the walls, all over the walls. He was just blacked out. He was blacked out. He said he can't remember. When he blacks out like that, he can't remember anything. And Sharon was saying in an interview about it, like that if she had a gun in her hand that day, she would have shot him in self-defense. And there was other mad story, like I think they were on tour with Motley. Is it the Motley Crew?
The Motley Crew.
The Motley Crew.
All right.
And they ran out of cocaine anyway, and Ozzy found a load of ants and started the ants.
Yeah, I heard that. I don't know if they ran out of cocaine. I heard, who was it? I remember hearing the story. It could have been your man from Motley Crue. What's his name? Tommy Lee. I think he said he was like sitting by the pool or something. They were just chilling out the next day, and Ozzy showed up, and there was just a line of ants walking along beside the pool. He fucking snorted a line of ants, and then he bit a bat, and he ended up in. Did you hear the story? He bit a bat when he was on stage.
Yeah, that one.
He claims he thought it was a rubber bat or something.
Yeah, people used to always throw up stuff on the stage, and they'd throw up the bat. He thought it was a rubber bat, so he bit the head, and then he's just realised when he said it was a bit crunchy. And it's nearly too late at that stage. But the videos of him, like when he was there live, I'd say he was off his head all the time. But he, like, they were always wondering how did he actually make it to, how didn't he die in his 30s or 40s or whatever. But apparently he had they did tests on him, and he had a mutation that his body would adapt and that he'd recover from a lot of stuff quicker and more efficiently than most normal people. So if it was a normal person on the Aussie lifestyle, they would have been dead long ago.
Right.
But rightly what fucked him up then was he got a very bad back injury. He fell off of
quad bike.
And he was on pain. He got the surgery, and it was supposed to be risky enough surgeries that, like, if it didn't work 100%, that he would be in bad pain for the rest of his life. And that's what happened. And he was in intense pain. And then a lot of the time you'd see him on the reality TV show, and
it's kind of shuffling around.
He was spaced out on the pain medication.
Right.
Yeah, Jesus. Like, there's one video where he's there, and he comes out of his little room, and he's like, "Ooh, who stole my beers?" And then Sharon just walks up to the opposite side of the banister, the stairs, landing on top of the stairs, and goes, "Oh, hello, honey. Who stole my beers?" "Honey, you had the beers and shit. And then he was like, well, someone came in and took my beers from my room. Honey, who's the beer thief? You're the beer thief. So he must have stolen some beers. And then the camera zooms into me and it's like,
It's fucking big pharma for you though, isn't it? And fucking Hulk Hogan was the same. He died the next day, I think. He died.
That's right,
He died
yeah.
a day after Ozzy, or
yeah, a
2
day
days
or
after
two
Ozzy.
after.
And that they were saying that fucker had something like 25 surgeries in the last 10 years or something
But I see,
on his back. It's like, lads, these surgeries aren't working. Like,
He was having a neck injury, sure, wasn't he?
Mm.
There more seriously, and he got infected, and that's why he died. But I seen his face there lately of some photo, and I was looking up what he looked like before he died, and his face is all shrunken up. And like the last time I kind of saw any interview of him was on Joe Rogan's last year, and he was in flying farm.
yeah.
And he's married to a girl as well. She was like in her 30s or early 40s.
He was. That's what he cheated on his missus with his daughter's friend.
That was the one, was it?
Same chick.
Come on, brother.
Yeah. But apparently his wife was a fucking lunatic as well. So
sure, you'd have to be putting up with someone that's on the road for 400 or whatever. They're off the road 12 days a year or something.
yeah, it's mental.
Yeah. And sure, loaded up with fucking the best of.
I think they said he went from 6'7" to 6'3" by the end anyway as well, because they were kind of fusing his fucking spine
really?
or something like that. Yeah,
Sure.
so he lost a few inches.
The Macho Man, Randy Savage, the cream of the crop. Was it
He fucking was too. Macho Man was the man.
Yeah, Randy Savage.
Jesus, like the stuff. Did you ever watch that guy True Geordie? Did you ever come across him?
No.
He's a YouTube guy, and he kind of broke down the whole Hulk Hogan story there recently. And yeah, Hulk Hogan sounded like a real piece of shit. Like, but you know, we all have our bad days, I guess. But he was caught out on a few kind of really bad lies, and I think one of them was that he'd fallen out with Macho Man, hadn't spoken for 10 years or something, and then Macho Man died, and Hulk was interviewed soon after, and he was saying that, you know, he really regretted the fight, and you know, it was a waste of 8 or 9 years that they could have been friends, but he was so glad that 6 months before Macho Man died, that he had they'd patched things up. But there was another wrestler, I think it might have been the Ultimate Warrior. I can't remember now, but one of them came out and said that was a lie. They never made up. They never patched it up. So it was a bit dark to tell people after he's dead that we made it up. But I think it was something to do with Macho Man's wife as well, his ex-wife anyway.
Oh,
There might have been some jiggery pokery going on there between Hulk and Macho Man's missus.
yeah. Because I watched, it's actually Deadly Netflix on Deadly documentary on Netflix. McMahon.
It's good actually, yeah.
You watched it,
Yeah, it's good. It's entertaining,
it's
right? Yeah, it's very good.
It goes through all the history of WWE, WWF before it was WWE, and Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
And like they were kind of letting on about Hulk Hogan, like he was a right cunt as well. Like he'd be going behind Vince's back and making all these deals. He wanted to go and stuff.
The other story I heard was that it was your man Jesse Ventura.
Yeah.
He was in a few movies. He was in The Predator, and he was in
He
was governor of Minnesota, I think, for a while. But he tried to get all the wrestlers to unionize, and because he felt like, you know, they were working hard, they weren't really getting paid fairly. But there was a couple of stars that were getting big money, Hulk being one of them, and they had some private meeting or whatever. And then Vince out of nowhere comes to Ventura and goes, "Yeah, I know what you're trying to do, trying to start a union or whatever." And he says, "How the fuck do you know? Who told you?" Because he's like, "There's a rat amongst us." And he said he never would have believed it was Hulk. And Vince just fucking ratted Hulk out straight away. So I was like, Hulk told me. Yeah, so it's like, so Hulk was protecting
the business,
making sure that he was going to be still the top dog and stuff.
Because anytime he'd fuck any other wrestlers over, he said it's all for the business. It's for the business.
Yeah.
But and then he demanded, like when he was kind of like the face of WWF when they were going like nationwide, he demanded like massive money off of Vince because they weren't getting great money. And he was kind of the first fella. And then like you the likes of The Rock that was kind of holding them kind of stints in. He wanted to be the main man.
Yeah.
Which he was kind of like a big draw, like he was a fair character.
Yeah.
But he's a fair ego kind of maniac as well. Like
The Rock?
The Rock.
Yeah, I heard something that he has some contract in something in his contracts where his character, no matter what movie he's in, his character can never lose a fight. So it makes it more difficult to sort of write a decent script because, you know,
he's going to
the
win.
hero often gets his ass kicked a few times on his way to being the hero.
Yeah,
You know, whereas every fight he's going to be in, no matter what the character is, he's going to win.
Like DC Comics, they're just they're like your Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. But he had a film there, Black Adam, a few years ago.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Was it any good?
It was all right. I think we brought it up in the podcast as well. Jim Bray said that's the one where Keith Barry came. Myself and the woman, we won a prize off the radio to go and see the premiere in Ireland, and Keith Barry sat down with us.
Oh yeah.
Up in the Odeon at the Point in Dublin. But was it coming out there? Yeah. So Black Adam, when it was announced, so he's kind of like an anti-Superman, an anti-hero.
Right.
And he was kind of like alive during the ancient Egyptian times, and through some sorcery or whatever, he was kind of given the curse of all these powers, and he could live eternally and all this. But then he went into hiding, or sorry, he was kind of like he was put into a trance or something by I can't really remember, and then he awakened after thousands of years, blah blah blah, and when he announced the movie, he was like, a new hierarchy of DC studios is going to begin, and Black Adam is going to be at the forefront of it. So DC films weren't doing great before that, but he was going to be the new main guy in it, you know. And he was on about bringing Henry Cavill back as Superman, and he did a cameo at the end of it. And then the movie did shit in the box office, and he was putting up like false stuff up in Instagram and stuff and Twitter saying that the movie, it's all lies, the movie's is doing very good and these are the figures. And it wasn't really the truth at all, like.
Jesus.
But he just didn't want the movie to do shit because he's just, you know.
Yeah.
But
isn't it mental though, the amount of money they're putting into movies these days? Like it, to me, it's starting to, like, I listen to the Critical Drinker all the time. Like,
he's brilliant.
And he'd be like, there's a few videos where he breaks down like how much money was spent making a movie and then how much was spent on advertising, and it could be like 400 million to make the movie and then another 400 million in advertising.
You know? So they say like 200 million is kind of roughly what the big ones go for now, and it'll be 400 as you said after everything. It's
meant to, like, and there's a lot of them are losing a lot of money, and it's like, I don't know, it's just something suspicious about, like, so I don't know who was saying it there recently, like when they were comparing some of the CGI technology in movies from 20 years ago, they look better. Like, how can things like The Lord of the Rings look so well, 20 years ago, and then something comes out in the last 5 years, it doesn't look as good.
There's a video of Davy Jones. Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean, and he's the long tentacles coming off the face, and the CGI is unbelievable. It was like 2003 or something, 4 or 5.
Was it? Yeah. So I don't know. There could be some sort of money laundering shit going on there, like where they're saying, it definitely cost us 400 million to make this, but it doesn't look like 400 million quid's worth of a production. Do you know what I mean?
But see, you were paying a lot for, but they're saying all these people are coming out with the CGI companies, and they're saying that they're understaffed and they're working crazy hours, and they've too many movies to be working on, so a lot of it is rushed. Because all the superhero movies is coming out, like you'd Fantastic Four there that was out last month, and Superman.
You follow all those, do you?
Oh man, I love all that
Your
kind
man,
of stuff.
the drinker was saying he felt like it was kind of time up now for the superhero movies, that it's been overdone. That people are getting fucking a little bit bored of them or something.
Sure. What do they call it? Superhero fatigue. But sure, they were saying the same thing about Western movies back in the 70s. That was the big kind of hype, and people kind of lost interest in that because it's kind of like the same thread that's being repeated all the time. But people are getting desensitized now to CGI, like, because if you were to show, like, I don't know, even Superman and Fantastic Four, Fantastic Four CGI does look a bit better than Superman's. But if you were to show one of the movies to someone from whatever 30 years ago, they'd be like, oh my God, CGI or whatever it is unbelievable. Like, all these monsters, but we're just desensitized to it. Fantastic Four was actually a very good film. Very good. Superman was good, but I thought Fantastic Four is better. But Fantastic Four is doing shit enough for the box office. Like,
Yeah.
I think it has something like, is it 300 or 400 million at the minute?
Right.
Like, and like you said, it might have cost them like 300 or 400 million to make the fucking thing.
Yeah.
So, but before, like Spider-Man, there came out a few years ago, Far From Home, or Spider-Man No Way Home, and they brought back all the old Spider-Man. So you had Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and your man William Dafoe as Green Goblin was back.
All right.
Dr. Octopus, such as all nostalgia.
Yeah.
But that made like upwards of 2 billion.
Did it?
And then you have a new Avatar film coming out this Christmas, and the last one made 2 billion as well.
Yeah.
So if these studios are releasing movies and it's like losing whatever, a couple of 100 million, they're making it back in these massive ones.
Yeah. But then, like, they don't even be that good. Like the Avatar movies will make a killing.
And the story's not great.
As soon as you again, like going back to The Drinker, like you'd sit there, you'd watch it, and you could be entertained for 2 hours, and then you leave and you can't remember anything.
Yeah.
You don't ever think about it again. He did a video there a few weeks ago where he just took famous lines from about 10 different movies, and he didn't act them out. He just said the line, I love the smell of napalm in the morning, that kind of thing. And he was like, if most people will recognize all of those movies just from that line, but there's nothing in the last 5 or 10 years that will stand out like movies did 20 or 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. They're just being made better.
It's all about the screenplay too, but like that one movie now, we're on about a quotable line. Myself and the lads back home have some crack with this one. I'm not going to say you're going to get what I'm intention. So,
all right.
Who that on that nag? You know that one?
Who that on that nag?
Who that?
No.
That's what the name ends with who that on that nag?
Okay.
But anyway, Samuel L. Jackson from Django Unchained, great film. Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
But it's brilliant. And but as you said, like there's not many movies with quotable lines like that. But even go back to their Ozzy Osbourne. So I kind of went into like listening to Black Sabbath tunes, and so you have War Pigs, which is brilliant. Children of the Grave, Paranoid. These tunes that I haven't heard before, like, and I was just like, wow, this is actually savage stuff. And I'm not, as I said, I'm not into rock or heavy metal. I don't know, do you ever listen to
Yeah, I wouldn't been into Ozzy, but I'd be more into that kind of music than you would, I'd say.
Metallica, like, I never really into them, but I know that song from Imagine Stranger Things.
Okay.
This song came on in the scene, and Master of Puppets, what a tune. That is unbelievable, like. And then I kind of looked into, or kind of listened to that when I was telling you earlier. What's that famous song, Enter Sandman? It's kind of one of them tunes for me anyway. Not brilliant when I heard it first, but you kind of, the more you listen to it, then the better it gets.
I suppose all this is way before your time, John. You're a kid.
Sure, that was back in the 90s, is it, that one?
Yeah, that was before your time.
Yeah, slightly.
No, that would have been the 80s even.
Would it, yeah? But that whole song, like, it's there's like a little chant in the middle of it where the kid is like saying, it's like a little poem. It's like
it's a famous prayer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a prayer.
If I should die before I sleep, or before I wake.
Hush, little baby, don't say a word.
John's just discovered Metallica.
That's the beast inside your head. No.
Yeah, that's
in your closet, under your bed. No,
in your head.
In your closet, in your head. But the whole song is about supposedly cocaine addiction and heroin and stuff.
Is it?
Yeah, but like it sounds like a demon or something coming after you. So like you'd wonder, like Mark David, I know when he comes on, we're going to ask him like all these like secret messaging, like to be on about substance abuse, but is there actually secret messaging behind something more towards demonic entities or something?
Yeah, do you remember actually we were talking about this the other day? There was the Satanist. We watched this interview, the Satanist. I think it's the same one where he was talking about writing music and putting fucking spells into music. Was that
that was the one?
Yeah. So I was going to ask Mark Devlin next month when we're talking to him if he recognizes spells written into music and stuff like that. But
Like that guy that you're saying from that interview, so he was an ex-Satanist. Hard to put an age in. Was he late 30s? I'd say maybe.
Yeah, 30, 35 maybe.
Yeah, hard to put an age in him, but he was a bit of a he was a loner. He was saying in the interview, and we might actually put up the URL under our YouTube video there and Spotify as well for people to watch it. It's very well worth to listen. But
I think it kind of lost its way towards the end, but I found the start of it quite interesting, like where he was talking about how he went from kind of studying Wicca and doing little spells that he found worked for him, and that kind of gave him a taste of
yes.
And then he wanted to go a little further and a little heavier.
So Wicca, that was kind of like stones and worship of nature and trees kind of thing.
Yeah. Then he started getting into more witchcraft, and then he started getting into the more satanic shit. But what was he saying? Fuck's gone from my head now. Oh yeah, he was saying spells in music, and then he was talking about how he cursed people, and he said he fucked a few people up with curses. This is just according to himself. You have to take everything with a pinch of salt. But I found it interesting that at one point he mentions how he realized, like, he thought that he was feeling powerful and he was making these spells and he was fucking people up a little bit. And then one of the demons he was talking to kind of let it slip a little bit that, no, you don't really have any power. You're really our puppet. You know, like, we're doing this shit on your behalf, but we're in control. And then he kind of realized, fuck, I don't actually have magical powers here at all, that I'm just tapping into something that does, or something like that. But
and then, like, they were asking, so he figured out that he was kind of getting onto this entity that was more of a higher stature status.
He said, how do I get to the next level? I want to get to the fucking top level.
Yeah.
And your man, basically, or the demon. So there was two options. One was the death of innocence.
Yes, the death of innocence,
which involved hurting children. And the other one was the death of love, I think, which involved sacrificing a family member or something like that. Really fucking heavy.
Yeah.
I was reading the comments underneath the video then, and everyone was kind of talking about all the celebrities who have lost family members and stuff in kind of suspicious circumstances. And there's a fucking lot of celebrities out there who have dead siblings or dead parents or dead children. And do you ever come across those ones? No?
I didn't read the comments.
No, did you ever come across the stories about celebrities and their fucking... There's some mad ones, like... It was one of the girls from... It wasn't X Factor, it was American Idol, I think. Hudson. Do you ever remember her?
Jennifer Hudson.
She was, like, famous for about a few years. She was... Did she get an Oscar or something at one point as well? She was in a movie with Beyonce, I think. And it was Mariah Carey. I didn't see it, but she just rocketed to fame. But was it 4 or 5 or 6 of her family members all got blown away in one mass shooting.
Never heard that. Oh.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Then it was Bill Cosby lost a kid. Did you ever hear the one with Kelsey Grammer? Kelsey Grammer had a sister who was randomly murdered outside of Taco Bell. And he had 2 brothers that were eaten by sharks or something.
What?
They were diving, and one of them, I think they might have been twins. One of them went down anyway. The 2 of them went diving. One came up, and then he went back down looking for the other one. I think they said it was a shark attack or something like that.
Jesus.
Michael Jordan, I think. Then Mike Tyson. I wouldn't say that to his face, but Mike Tyson's daughter strangled on a cord was just found. That's right. Somehow managed, like, she's only 2 years old or 3 years old. She turned on a treadmill and somehow managed to get fucking strangled by a cord.
That's like Final Destination.
That's exactly what it's like, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. The list goes on and on. Like, there's so many of them.
Like the movies Final Destination, have you watched them?
I saw the first one when it came out. That was probably in about 97 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was.
I never watched
99. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of horrors, John. I don't like the shit out of me.
But I watched that. We rewatched all of them there, myself and the girlfriend, and we watched the newest one. But it's the whole thing that death is like this entity that comes after you, and
like you kind of
never
you got lucky. You were supposed to die, so now it's going to come and get you.
Yeah. But as you said, like, Hollywood puts in all these ideas. Again, is there something there? Just going back to that interview, with the ex-Satanist. So he found God, whatever at the end.
He thought he was going to get murdered.
He thought he was going to get murdered. But there was like one story where he randomly met at a petrol station this couple. So when he was younger, he had a fierce hatred towards everyone. And that's why he was using all these spells to try and put curses on people. And then he'd figure out that all the small little curses would work, like they're getting sick and stuff.
But he was a sick fuck because he deliberately said he deliberately wanted to be nice to people. So I'd be nice to everyone, I'd be nice to everyone. And then as soon as someone wasn't nice back, then I'd fucking use that as an excuse to get him.
Yes.
And Thomas Sheridan has mentioned this about magic and spells as well, that if you curse someone who hasn't directly attacked you first, then you're asking for trouble. It's going to come back on you or something like that.
So, do you remember, like, he was saying, so come back to that one at the petrol pumps, service gas station. And, so he befriended this couple and did them go meet each other, go a few times in smoking weed and stuff. And then there was this one random night that he was over at another house, apartment, and there was a ring from the doorbell, and then it was from this couple, Jamie, and same couple. So they said, "Oh, let him up." So then they came up, and your man kicked in the door, and he was a big dude, and he came in swinging something, and he started to grab it on, and then the girlfriend came in with something in her hand, like a shovel or something, and she was pacing down the corridor, the hallway of the apartment to one of the other fellas' bedrooms, and then your man grabbed onto, let's say, the Satanist's Nick, and started choking him, and he was choking out, and then he said, whatever way he found the power to kind of like push your man off him or something. So then they were like, what? So they all escaped out of the apartment, and they ran away, and they were like, they called the cops and all this stuff.
He ran to a neighbor.
Yeah. And the neighbor was like, he was ready.
The neighbor was up for it.
Yeah, he was like, he was waiting all his life for this kind of confrontation or something. So he went, and there was no sign when he went back to the apartment. And then one of the couple that actually burst into the apartment and was pacing down to the room to get another guy. The other guy heard her saying, "You would die too tonight, only for your father." And it was his father who was like very holy or something. He was like a member of a church.
Okay.
Something like that. So then your man reckons that the reason why they were attacked was he had a tattoo of 666 on his arm or something. Yeah. And it was on that date, it was the 6th of the 6th, 2006, where they actually tried to break, where that night happened.
Yeah.
So then they were saying like the Antichrist.
They thought he was the Antichrist.
They thought he was the Antichrist or something. And that they were trying to get rid of him. But then he was thinking like that the demons were after kind of like possessing them to attack him, because he wasn't practicing as much with them lately, and he was kind of pulling away from him. So they were trying to pull him back in or something.
Okay.
And then it was later on then that it was a while down the road as well, and he was at his apartment with his housemate, and he was lying down, and he felt he heard 3 loud thumps on his apartment door, and he kind of got the shivers, and just then he felt a vibration on this bed. Sorry, before the 3 knocks came, he felt a vibration on this like blow-up mattress or something, and it came on his back, and he says, "Oh Jesus, what the fuck was that?" So he got up and he searched through the mattress, and there was nothing there that would have caused the vibrations, and it was pure distinct. And then shortly after that, the 3 loud thumps at the apartment door, and then he just hair stood in his skin, and waited again. He said, "What the fuck is that? Is that the couple coming back for me again?" So then waited on, then 3 more loud thumps, and then he's like, "Fuck it." So then he said he'd wait for it to happen again. So then he went over by the door, and there was like 1, 2, and then just on before the 3rd, he opened the door, and there was no one there. And he ran down the hallway, and there was no one there. And then he went into the roommates, and he knocked in the bedroom. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning or something. And he said, "Did you hear that?" And I think he heard all the commotion, and he was like, "I think these fucking demons are onto me again or something."
Mm-hmm.
So then something happened anyway, and they were walking down the street or running down the street or something in a panic. And he saw this black fucking, like a mess, like a black hole in front of him in the street. Oh no, sorry. he was calling out the demon or something. Sorry, yeah. So he went down with it, and he found a brush or something. And he threw it, a stick, and he threw a stick down the ground. He's like, "If you're fucking with me right now, and if you want to get me, here's your fucking chance. Don't be a wuss. Grab that stick and fight me." So then he kept on calling it. He said, and he kept on mocking it, and this trying to bring it on, kind of a thing. And then it was a black mist kind of started appearing, and then it turned into like a black hole. He said. And then he got really scared and he just ran in. And then he found God or something. He said Jesus kind of helped him and all this crap. But it's actually there's more to way more to the interview. Yeah. It's very good.
Yeah. And speaking of curses, then I heard Thomas Sheridan admitted there recently that he was going to curse 4 people. I don't know, did you hear, but there was this Irish festival that was supposed to take place in a couple of weeks in Drumshanbo in Leitrim. It's called Misha Éireann, and it was just supposed to be an Irish cultural event, and it was going to be like storytellers and Irish language workshops and craft workshops and all this kind of stuff. But it had been one or two of the organizers had sort of political affiliations with the supposed far right in Ireland that doesn't exist. And 600 musicians, Irish musicians or artists, signed a petition to get it banned, to get it stopped or whatever. Kneecap were front and center in that as well, apparently. But
to get the festival called off,
get it called off, and people were saying like, we've got a Ukrainian festival coming up, we've got to have Africa Day, we've got India Day coming up, but we can't have Misha Éireann now because that's far right.
Sure, our kneecap pro-Irish, like, and that's the whole thing of it.
Supposedly, anyway. But I suppose they get a lot of positive media attention.
Like over it.
That's a red flag when you're getting positive media attention, I think. But
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Sheridan said anyway, he was talking about, what was the name of the band? Clannad. I think Enya was their singer back in the day. I'm not too familiar with them, but he was telling a story that the first concert that he went to in New York was U2, and the supporting act was supposed to be Clannad, and they missed their flight and they couldn't go or whatever. And he was telling everyone in the queue in that it was terrible to check out Clannad. They would have been great, blah blah. But one of the lads from Clannad signed this thing, and oh man, I felt for him now, because he usually kind of keeps his emotions, he's fairly level-headed and what have you, but he was pissed off. He was a little heartbroken, I think, that this guy had signed this thing as well. So he didn't specifically say who he was going to curse, but yeah, he's going after them with some magic now, which is fucking mad. Like
Tom Jordan is.
Yeah. And
why was he was emotional about what?
He was pissed off because Clannad would have been like an old Irish band that he loved back in the day, and now they had kind of betrayed the Irish as far as he was concerned.
Oh, sorry, they have signed to call off this festival.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
So now he didn't say he was going to curse any of them, but he said of the 600, there was 4 of them that he was going after anyway. And so
it's a bit mad to be saying that online.
I know I wouldn't mess with Thomas anyway. I love Thomas, but I wouldn't mess with him, Joe. But yeah.
Yeah,
mad that World of Magic though. I don't know if I'd
we might get him on actually down the line to talk about kind of that kind of side of the magic and paganism and stuff.
I suppose like when we interviewed him that time, I kind of wanted to focus on the older stuff, about the psychopath stuff, because the reason I suppose I started doing this with you was I was hoping to kind of get away from stuff that fucking depresses me, but the conspiracy theories that depress me about how the world is, the direction we're going in the state of our country and all that terrible shit. But Thomas talks a lot about that, so that's why I still follow him now. Like, but yeah, I don't know if I wanted to get too fucking serious. I just wanted to keep the deep monster to be a bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
And talk about fun mysteries,
Yeah.
And I suppose nothing that's going to get us fucking booted off YouTube. And we even got our email fucking ruined after 2 episodes, didn't we? They took away our email.
Yeah, because it said it was suspicious or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, if anyone has ever tried to find us on YouTube now, there's two
channels.
One has 2 videos up because we can't access that anymore.
We can't
now
delete
because
it either.
We can't delete it.
Yeah.
It's stuck there now because they took away our email because we must have said something fucking not okay. It's mental. Actually, do you know, it's funny actually. The king of censorship himself, David Icke, banned in 1 million countries, banned on multiple planets. He's banned on every platform, and he's fucking. He's back on YouTube. He said he's starting a new YouTube channel again.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, but I was flicking through his. Like if you just type in his name into YouTube, there's hundreds of interviews. He's not like, so he might not have a channel, but
it's not like he's shadow
anyone can interview him. And like you scroll down, you'll see he's even like there's even a BBC interview with him from fucking years back with millions of views. They're not taking it down. Like, so it's suspicious type of censorship. And if like I tried to make a channel during the whole COVID-19 years, I got to 150 subscribers. I was getting videos taken down when I had fucking 40 subscribers. Like, and I remember the first video that got taken down, I couldn't believe it because you'd be thinking you'd be flying under the radar when you're nobody, like. But it just goes to show, like, if you want to know how censored YouTube is or the internet is, try making a channel for yourself and you'll see very quickly. And even things like, there's certain people that can get away with saying things, the likes of Russell Brand can say things. If you say the same things, they'll take you down. Do you know?
Do you want to tell the story about the Scientology thing?
What? Yeah, okay.
Right, yeah. So we kind of got a mad fit there, to go up to the Church of Scientology in Ireland to kind of like see, above in Dublin, sorry, to get kind of like a tour and a feel of what it's like, because we were kind of saying that it's to be good to kind of hear from their side, like, you know, because we saw that Justin Theroux documentary and it painted him in a very negative light and showed him like as in this controlling cult that would kind of like just intimidate you until you fucked off from them, kind of. And he was talking to all the ex-members and they were very negative about it. So we just said, look, I suppose it'd be good to get the other side of it. So you emailed the church.
Yeah. And they came back to us and they said, thanks for your interest. When would you like to come and visit? And we, I think, did an episode just like this, just chatting ourselves. And
it was after, or it was before you got that reply though, wasn't it?
I think it was before I saw the reply because I'm fucking bad for seeing checking my emails. And I don't know. I emailed them back and I said something like we could come up. There was I gave them a date. I said we could come up that day. You were out of the country, but you were flying in. So I said I'd meet you up in Dublin. And then I got another email from a lady, and she said, well, we see that you've actually already done your episode.
I'll butt in there for a second, right? So you sent that email saying, okay, we'd love to go on that date, and then let us know when you'd if that would suit, because your man originally said that I'd love to give you a tour and everything. Of the place to kind of give you a feel of it. Yeah. And so it was all positive. And then you gave that email back saying, yeah, that'd be perfect. When would this date suit? And then there was nothing back. Yeah. And then we made our episode. Yeah. And then you got the reply from a different lady.
Yeah. And she said, see that you already did the episode. So so they watched, they checked out our podcast, I guess. And
you did send on the link though.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you sent on the link, so they did watch the podcast.
But yeah, so obviously I said something that probably wasn't too.
We both did. I'd
nice.
say. I think we were.
I think we figured it out. I said something anyway, and I genuinely didn't mean to be disrespectful.
I did as well, but I came across kind of skeptical.
Yeah. But she was still very nice, and she said, you know, if you have any more questions or anything, but I never got back to them then after that because it just felt like the ship had sailed on that one, and
we might do it in the future,
just in case some powerful Scientologists are watching. definitely don't want to mess with the Church of Scientology.
Yeah, but I don't know, we might do it in the future. But
yeah, like I'd still love to go up and see the place and get a tour and actually fucking meet these people face to face, and because you kind of get a vibe off someone you meet them anyway, you know. See what they're all about, but yeah.
But yeah, going back to kind of like you were saying, you kind of wanted to be on a nice kind of good positive vibe in these videos and stuff. But
Yeah.
let's go back to the Church of Satanism.
Oh yeah, because we were literally thinking about interviewing some Satanists, but as my wife said, like maybe you shouldn't invite them into your world.
Yeah.
And then that's what we were saying. We said maybe we could interview some ex-Satanists, but then it would be the same as interviewing ex-Scientologists who are going to say nothing but shitty things, you know. And yeah, but
yeah. So like you were telling me about Anton LaVey, like I didn't really hear about him, and I was kind of doing a small bit of research. But as you said, you would have to do a lot more than
I
was scratching the surface. But
yeah.
He was born, or he's
no, alive. Talking about Alistair Crowley or Anton LaVey?
Sorry,
Crowley.
Alistair Crowley.
We were talking about him just before the press reported.
Mr. Crowley,
yeah.
what went on in your head?
We'll edit that out later on.
Ozzy Osbourne. So yeah, that was one of the songs that I found when I was listening to all his stuff within the last few weeks, and it's a great tune actually, Mr. Crowley, about Alistair Crowley. So he in the early 1900s, was not. And he was the son of a preacher, and his father was a preacher, and he was the owner of a big distillery company as well. So there was no fear of the pound. But
and the father died when he was young. He was about 8 or 9 or something like that. He was a kid.
Yeah,
and I think he was sent off to boarding school or something like that. But he inherited a fuck ton of money, enough to, you know, just go on the lash around the world and do crazy stuff.
But he used to get a lot of prostitutes in and things. He was supposed to be crazy into that.
Yeah.
But he went into the occult doing a lot, and he moved away from preaching. Young enough, he kind of left that with a bad taste.
Yeah.
Something happened, I can't really remember. But then he went to join this, so he started studying occult and like all this, going into magic a little bit. And I suppose manifestation and all these things. And then like he went into this group. What were they called again? And
the Golden Dawn, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn or something.
So they were like wannabe wizards that were kind of like starting on the journey to becoming wizards. And W.B. Yeats and some other fella was there. He's fairly famous as well. But they were kind of getting a bit scared of.
He was taking it to
Crowley.
A new level.
Yeah, he was kind of getting a bit dark and stuff, and he was looking at spells, and they didn't really like the vibe he was carrying, and that they were afraid he just was going down a dark path. And he was he met this woman then, and she was supposed to be down to have an arranged marriage, and through her parents, and it was only like after a day of meeting her, and he ran away with her, and he went to Egypt and into this cave, and like again he was mad into the occult now, and he was in his early 20s at this stage. But he started chanting this ritual. It's to do with Horus. And he was trying to help her to get away from this arranged marriage, so that she could be happy with him, kind of a thing. So they were using spells to try to do it. So whatever, anyway, throwing this chant to this ritual, then she kind of fall back, and she had this vision. When she came out of it, she was saying that she met Horus. So that was the intention of the ritual, so she could meet Horus. But she said she met Horus, and then Crowley was he was vexed by it, like, and he was like, "Oh, you're just taking a piss out of me now." But she was adamant. She's saying, like, "I'm not," like, you know. So Crowley brought her to the museum and said, "Show me who you talked to." So she showed away all the gods are depicted there in sculptures and stuff. So she actually walked up to the Horus, and she wouldn't have been familiar with that mythology, like, and stuff. So brought her up to some statue of Horus, and she said, that's who's talking to me. And he gave me all this like information of like these different types of spells and rituals and stuff. So she was kind of like carrying him out then on Crowley, and he thought that he gained a lot of, like, I think he gained some kind of like spiritual kind of understandings and stuff that he said from it and things. So he went back to that group, that kind of a secret group or whatever, and he was practicing it like, and they were like, they didn't like it, and then he like locked them out. He changed locks in their meeting room one morning or one day, and when they came back, he just got great laugh when he was sitting inside and laughing at them trying to get into the room, and sure naturally they banned him from the group.
Yeah, he was into fucking he was pushing shit, and obviously, like, to me, he sounded like a fucking sex addict. He was big into the prostitutes and stuff, but he was into sex magic and doing sex rituals, and he had this attitude of pushing yourself past your own comfort zone. Do you know what I mean? And forcing yourself to do things that you find, even things that you find disgusting, and doing them until you don't find them disgusting anymore, and just warping yourself. This was kind of a thing that he was into, like, you know. So along came all the gay sex and stuff was introduced to the sex magic rituals as well.
He was bisexual.
Was he bisexual?
He was bisexual.
To be honest, no, I'd say he. They probably didn't document. I'd say he fucked anything that walked. That
because in that interview in that YouTube video that I saw about him earlier on, like he was 18, 19 or something, and he was falling for this fella in college, and that this fella in college had this alter ego where he'd dress up as he'd dress up in drag in like nightclubs and stuff.
Rough.
So he wanted to get away. The
boys were ahead of their time, weren't they?
Yeah. He wanted to figure out a way to get with him. So then he's done that. Yeah.
And then there's like what was the name of the Boleskine house?
Yeah.
He bought this house around the turn of the last century, and he did all sorts of mad shit. And I think a lot of the neighbors were kind of concerned. The people in the area were concerned what he was up to. But there was one ritual that he was doing where he was trying to conjure up or open the door to some fucking heavy demon, and it was going to take a year, between 6 months and a year and a half to do it or something, and he quit after 6 months because it was too much work. But the story goes that maybe he should have finished the ritual out because he opened the door and the door is still open, and that's why the house has kind of a history of hauntings now. And it was your man Jimmy Page bought it, the guy from Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And I think he had a few fucking strange experiences as well. And was there a child that died in that house since then as well? I'll have to go back and look at it again. There's so much information about that stuff. But yeah, we were just looking it up before we recorded. That house is still there. I thought the house was gone. I thought it had burned down. But it's been restored and it's going to be open to the public this year, I think. So, John, when you get back from Dubai, we'll zip over. I've never been to Scotland, so we'll go over to Loch Ness. We'll find the monster. We'll go into Boleskine house. We'll do a few rituals, and we'll come home. Tell you all about it.
I mean, the deep ponder began viral. Then all we have to do is just find that
fucking monster.
But yeah, that's strange, isn't it? The Loch Ness monster kind of myth, and that house as well.
Yeah. When did that myth even start?
I don't know.
Yeah,
hundreds of years.
Yeah,
it's probably bullshit. Like, but like the thing is surely be found at this stage. So it's like Bigfoot, like.
Yeah.
But here's the funny concept I heard about Bigfoot actually, like. So the whole myth about it, like, you know, and if Bigfoot was a real thing, they'd be just in zoos or everywhere. They'd be there next to the gorillas. And it's like, oh, there's a hairy kind of like humanoid creature, and people are just like, oh, people just won't give a shit.
Yeah.
But it's just the whole idea of trying to figure out the unknown.
Yeah. I think there's like some people think that they live underground. That there's like, have you ever seen the movie Journey to the Center of the Earth?
Yeah.
It's a great fucking movie.
Are you on about the old one or
the old one? Yeah.
I've seen
You've seen the new one, the newer
Brendan
one.
Fraser. That's in there.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah,
there was one that was I think it's on the Disney Channel now. I think it was made in the 30s. It's a very good movie. It's very old school as well. The way the men talk to the women in this, it has to come with a warning beforehand, you know, because there was cultural differences back then. It's women knew their place back then. According to these dudes,
given the backhand as well.
Yeah. No, just a little bit more like men were in charge.
Know your place, woman.
But yeah, it's a good movie. But this guy had a theory that there was a world under the ground, kind of hollow earth theory kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you know.
I love
And
that.
I think
I love that
anyway, a
theory.
lot of people theorize that there are creatures that are living in the hollow earth, and maybe the Bigfoot lads might have passages to that or some shit like that. But these are the kind of mysteries that I enjoy pondering over, and
Yeah,
less so the dark stuff. Of course, when we're getting Mark Devlin on next month, so that's going to be heavy enough. But
yeah, just on that as well, I'm going to definitely ask him, and I have it here in notes on my phone about Tomorrowland. So the electronic, the EDM, electronic dance music festival. There, it's over in Boom.
you were there.
I was there a couple of years ago. Oh, unbelievable.
Where's that? Romania?
No, in Belgium.
Belgium.
Yeah, myself and a few boys, a few lads I know from college, and a couple of their buddies went. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff now coming up on my feed on Instagram. Oh, I'm always getting mad stuff about conspiracies, naturally enough, like it's but going to come up. But a lot of stuff coming up recently about like Freemasonry symbolism on the stage in Tomorrowland.
All right.
And this one that came up last night, and I don't think we could share the screen on this. We're using Microsoft Teams, but I might find the clip and I'm going to stick it into the video in here. But so basically, it's the crowd. So the camera's way back at the crowd. It's showing the whole crowd and the stage. And it's like this, do you know the way you were thinking? It's like this chant, and everyone's kind of move to the left, and everyone's moving to the left. And then they're moving to the right. And then it was kind of like the beat was there, and it was like, and it's kind of like if you were to throw that into like an Indiana Jones movie, like Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
It was like this old fella, or this priest that was there, and he was like carrying out this chant. Like it was strangely like it. And then go into the comments, and then people are just like, I rebuke this. People always say that I rebuke this negative energy from my life, and Jesus Christ, my Savior, and all this. People actually think that this is negative ceremonial and stuff.
Yeah.
But that one about the Freemason thing, I can't remember what DJ it was, but it was literally the symbol of the set square and the, what you call them?
Compass.
The compass. Yeah. Was literally behind him on the stage.
Yeah.
Like it is weird. Like if you're on, like I remember Miguel was on both Deluge and feeding off this positive energy. All these beings maybe have positive energy, and then there's ones that feed off negative energy. But like fucking hell.
Yeah.
Strange when you look into it.
Yeah. Well, like again, going back to Sheridan, I was listening to him the other day, and he did a video about two symbols that he uses to protect magic protection symbols. And he said that, magic is kind of like, he said there's no black magic and there's no white magic or whatever. He said magic is like a knife. You can use a knife to stab somebody, or you can use it to cut a piece of fruit off a tree and give it to them. He said it's how you use it or something like that. But then there's for everyone that says that, there's another guy saying, no, it's bullshit. There's dark magic and there's light magic, and then there'll be somebody else who says, no, it's all dark. And none of it should be fucked with. And I just want to know, to be honest with you.
I'm like you, man. I want to know the answers to everything.
Yeah. I don't really care what the truth is now. Just don't want to waste my time fucking on stuff that isn't true,
Sure, that Shane Lynch lad from Boyzone, he said it in a couple of interviews that he's looking into, and he practiced kind of like this bit of a dark magic witchcraft when he was in the band, I think, and he got kind of into drugs and drink one day.
I don't know. Did he say he ever practiced any of that stuff? But he said he witnessed.
I think he said he was practicing a bit of witchcraft himself.
He was fucking around Ouija boards and shit, wasn't he?
Ouija boards. Yeah.
Opening doors and shit, like.
Yeah. And then he got freaked out by it, and he kind of pulled away from it. Yeah. But he's mad into Jesus now. He's kind of like he's kind of he says he doesn't want to force it onto people, but he says, I know it changed my life.
Yeah. Now I keep hearing people saying the same things when they realize the devil was real. That then they realize Jesus was real. That's their thinking. I've been leaning back that way as well, but
that lad on that interview, right? The Satanist one that we were on about earlier, that you you were talking about with me, and he said when he found Jesus, he found that like when you're doing like these, it's like spells, but when you're asking God to do these things for you, and to prove that he's real, he actually does show in ways that he is. Like, I don't know, I think I've done that before, maybe.
What?
When I was younger, I said, God, if you're real, show me something.
Okay, yeah.
And then you obviously won't see something like, because, like, in fairness, like, if you were to ask this kind of monster,
Our sponsor for today.
Our sponsor for today. But if you were to say, God, if you're real, levitate this kind of monster there for me, like,
it's a bit of an ask.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like your man apparently saying when you ask him to do things, whatever way he was doing it, he'd see it. Not stuff like that, but like, you know, in different ways.
Right.
But I don't know.
I don't know. The vibe that I get is sort of like Christianity is faith, and within the kind of the opposite side, then will actually show you shit to prove that it's real. You know, whereas you say, I think there's even a law that you don't fucking test God. You don't go, God, if you're real, fucking prove it right now, because he'll just say fuck you. But the demons will prove shit, you know, because they want to suck you in, I think. But
that one of Thomas Sheridan, do you remember you watched that video, yeah? And he was talking about how he reckons that ChatGPT and all these large language models, that they act like demons. Basically.
Yeah, that's weird. Actually, like we've a rule now in the house: we're not talking to those things. But we were talking to Grok there, and just the Grok assistant, and it was a random question. It was like, it was to do with a coffee shop in town. Is this shop open or something? Anyway, whatever way this fucking thing was talking to me, my wife just goes, hang on a second, Grok, are you flirting with my husband? And the thing starts laughing, going, oh no, not at all. Your husband's totally safe with me. You can trust me. And it was like, this is fucking weird, like, you know. And actually, what was it that we were watching there recently? I think you watched it as well. What was it? Somebody talking to, it was the South Park episode that you fucking recommended to me. And brilliant. By the way, you didn't fucking tell me that. You see, like, sitting there with the wife, and the next thing we're looking at Donald Trump's fucking, it was just like, I told her this was going to be funny. You know, oh, the lads told me this episode's hilarious. We have to watch it. And then I said, it was this little fucking dick. Like, but there was a couple of things in it. It was that scene where Randy is talking to it, and it's asking him, or he's asking it about something to do with the kids or something like that, and the AI says to him, "It's really good. You're a really good parent to be looking after your kid like this." And Randy's like, "Oh, geez, thanks, Grok, or thanks AI, or whatever." Yeah. And this is actually happening in real life. You know, that people are sitting there, like lonely people are sitting there talking to this thing, and it's complimenting them and saying, "You're a really decent person now," and this kind of thing, and it's fucking making people crazy because they're starting to think it's real. And I feel like all our lives we've been conditioned to accept that robots can have feelings and emotions and can be our friends, you know. Before your time, I used to watch Star Trek: The Next Generation when I was a kid, and one of the characters in it was an android called Data. Are you familiar with that guy?
No.
And Data was just walking, talking robot, but the whole show was, like, I suppose his character arc was him trying to become more human. And he had a desire to become human and stuff, and he wanted to feel emotions and things like that. And yeah, like he had a best friend in it who was a human and stuff, and yeah, they really push it. And then you have like movies like iRobot and things like that, where they're just getting us used to the idea that we're going to have like robot assistants. And like I can see the upside, in the sense that, like, when you get old, you don't want your kids having to fucking take care of you. Wouldn't it be very handy if, you know, dad is living in the granny flat with the robot, and the robot's going to cook his food and fucking help him, you know, get dressed when he's 90 years old and stuff. And I can see the benefits to that, but it's a slippery slope. But like, funnily enough, Musk tweeted there the other day that millions, if not billions, of people will benefit from Neuralink. So the fucking objective is really to get everybody in the world with a chip in their brain. I think anyway.
Like I only heard on the news there, was it yesterday or the day before, like when they're on about in the news, and they were saying it on the radio that people are finding that they're finding an uptrend on people starting to have relationships with AI models.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Sex robots are coming. They are definitely
100%, yeah.
definitely on the way. You see, like they're making these robots now that like they can do basic interactions and stuff, but they make them look like models, you know. And you know there's going to be lonely guys out there. I think was it Musk was saying like that in 10 years' time, the average person could have a robot, you know, because it'll be the price of a car. You know, you'll get one for 20 or 30 grand or whatever. So yeah, we're heading for some different times.
There's a very good movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who's the other actor? The Sixth Day, I think it's called, is it?
Yeah, the cloning.
Yeah,
that
one about the cloning. But there's a scene. So obviously it's based in future. But there's a scene where there's this lad and he's in his own apartment and he just goes home after a hard day's work and he turns on his AI kind of like hologram is there. And it's his a girl like, and she's beautiful. And he's like, "Hey honey, how's your day?" Whatever. So he sits down in this chair and he presses the button on this thing that's like, it projects your one near him in the chair.
Yeah.
And
she's riding him or something, does she?
She starts like up and tapping him and rubbing him and stuff. And whatever way it kind of like, so the AI is interacting with his senses and stuff. So he's feeling this stuff and she's like rubbing him, he's feeling it in this chair. And then she just like starts to unbuckle his pants and stuff. I don't know how it actually managed to get, but it shows it in the scene. And then just before she starts to go to business, Arnold's character comes on and knocks on the door as he's already has to stall, and he just goes up. But like, sorry, no, but they're on about people like Joe. Obviously, birth rates are going down, as in, but like the amount of kids that are born to a family, like before it used to be maybe 8 to 10 here in Ireland, and probably a lot around in other countries around the world too. Now people with their careers and stuff, and just so expensive to raise a child, and everything's so expensive, and people don't have the time. Might only have 1 or 2 kids. There's couples there having no kids, you know. And then you're going to have this shit come on where people aren't, like, you're going to have people that are antisocial, not going out to meet people. And they're just taking the easy way out, having these.
It fits in with the depopulation plan, like, doesn't it?
Well, I know it's a conspiracy, but Jesus Christ, then things are fierce lying
like
together.
There's a conspiracy theory that there's a plan to depopulate the population, the global population, even though how is it a theory? And Bill Gates is making fucking TED Talks and saying we can reduce the world's population growth by 10 or 15% with new vaccines and new medications. It's like, all right, okay. And if you show that to the normal person, they'll go, that was taken out of context. Go, how was that fucking taken out of context?
And there was on Bill Gates, I just literally seen this this morning when I was scrolling on Instagram. He was over in some African country and he was he from the Bill and whatever his wife is, Bill and Linda Gates Foundation, and he is fronting this operation that will give contraceptive pills to women over in Africa, and they won't be able to give birth, I would say, or have a child for 8 years.
Jesus, lads. Yeah, it's there's so much stuff that fits in with the deep, like obviously fertility rates are down, but then you've got sex robots on the way. You've got autism and shit like that going through the roof. So all those autistic people aren't going to be having children. Most of them aren't. And then you've got younger generations coming up behind. They're looking at the autism figures and shit like that going, you know, it's like, I think they're saying by 2035, you're looking at 1 in 3 or something. So it's like people are going, even if we are fertile, what's the point in having a child that could be severely disabled, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what's going to come out with Robert Kennedy Jr. now, the Health Secretary of America, because
they banned mRNA vaccines, I think, over there. I think that's the story. I think that's what I heard on the grapevine.
When did you hear that?
A few days ago.
Right.
Yeah.
But he said the pharmaceutical industry are going to be dealt a huge blow come September sometimes, because all his findings he's been looking into autism and his big push to make America healthy again, and banning all these substances in
Their
food and stuff. So
Yeah, their food is mad.
let's see what happens September. Like what heat? I don't know. Are they going to find the cause for autism or?
Like, look at our country. Like, there's so much fucking so much obesity even in.
Mad,
Like, I remember the first time I saw a really, really, really fat person. I was about 19, and I was like, "Whoa! Like, how's that guy walking around?" And someone was telling me, "Nah, he's got some sort of a thyroid fucking issue or something like that." But this dude was the exception. Now he wouldn't stand out in the crowd now, like, you know. And it's funny. Someone sent me a photograph of a school photo of our class when we were all 16. And I couldn't believe all the people that we thought were fat in school. Like there's maybe, and then there was only a handful. Like we were like, I was looking at the photo, going, "Fuck, that girl wasn't fat after all." Like, you know, compared to modern times, you know, she looks fucking perfectly normal. Like, you know, there's a couple of guys that like prop forwards where you go and they were fat fuckers. Like, but no, when you see the picture, you go, "Oh, they actually
they weren't
fucking bad at all." Like, you know, they look fairly healthy compared to what you're seeing now. Like people are just fucking huge. Like,
I did this wild theory before that came to my head a couple of years ago, and it was to do with the likes of like, how would you stop people from being successful or kind of control them in a sense? So I was thinking of I don't know if I ever said this to you, maybe we did before, but the whole idea of when someone comes home from work, okay, and if they had a dream of become successful in something, right? You're obviously not going to be able to do it maybe in whatever work you're at during the day, okay? That's going to fund your lifestyle. And so you're surviving from that. But then in your spare hours in the evening or the days you're off, you're chasing this dream. But I'm going to not chase my dream this Monday evening. I'm going to go home and watch a bit of Netflix, eat a bit of fast food because I'm too lazy to make dinner. It takes too much time.
Yeah.
But I'm watching episode 5 of fucking Prison Break or whatever. I'm watching episode 6, turn on another episode, has something to eat, okay, go to bed, get up for work. The hours are wasted in the evening. Like it's at home, this entertainment. Why is this entertainment industry? I don't know, look, maybe it's just like me seeing things that aren't there to be sinister in nature, but like I just think things align too well to be good, to be a coincidence. Like, how come there's all these major pushes, like putting millions and millions into films?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I know they make money off them and everything. I know entertainment is a way people escape in reality and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, people don't really go to the movies anymore unless you want that experience. You watch the movie at home on Netflix or Disney. There's so many subscriptions now for entertainment.
Yeah.
And like, people, unless you're really motivated to do something, you don't.
Yeah.
You're just going to fucking watch movies and Netflix series and you're wasting your life away eating shit food.
Yeah.
Then people are getting obese from it, and then you're just getting lazy, and then there's diseases coming on. Then you're going away buying medication that mightn't even be doing that good for you. Now, medication's amazing, like, but still, you're paying money into this big system of keeping you alive. Whereas, like, if you were just fucking out exercising and been some bit conscious about what you're putting into your body, you wouldn't be any need for this medication anyway.
Yeah.
And like you would often hear successful people. I'm starting to read that book now. Think Rich, Grow Rich by Napoleon
Think and
Hill.
Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And like, so he's been studying the most successful people of all industries kind of thing and how they did it. And they were like, they might have like healthy lifestyles, or they might get up in the morning, read a book, go out in the sun, go for a little walk or something. And it's just stuff that's not too many people kind of do, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, is there kind of like some kind of convenience there to make people kind of like this kind of controlling the population in a way, because people aren't stepping out from the status quo and kind of chasing their dreams, and because things are too hard and they just go for the conveniences.
Yeah, people are like, I think people are kind of afraid to like you say, kind of do their own thing as well, because they'll be slagged by their friends and family, be going, "What are you fucking doing?" Like
when we were starting the podcast, sure. Like, I was thinking, what the fuck are the boys back home going to say? Lads, I'm going to be mocked around the place, whatever. Then we thought about it. So just what the fuck? There's so many people just going instead. So just do something. It's not.
Yeah.
When we did our first episode, like we were just there and like, jeez, this is weird.
Yeah.
And even sometimes still.
Yeah.
But it's just about getting out of your comfort zone, like, and
that's it. Yeah, definitely. Life starts outside your comfort zone, really.
Yeah.
But yeah. And you're off now. Speaking of life starting.
Yeah. So this is our last episode in the
Dubai. So the next time we do one will be I'll be at home and you'll be in Dubai.
Yeah. Jeez, I don't know, like mid 40 degrees heat. Crazy shit, like.
Yeah.
Night times in the 30s.
But it is mental though, like that. So many young people now are fucking leaving the country because there's nowhere to fucking rent here. Everything's way too expensive. Do you know? Like I have a couple of Brazilian mates, and you know they're talking about, oh my god, the fucking rent here in this house and blah blah. And it's like, lads, at the same time, like there's 1.5 million people in Ireland now who are here who weren't born here. And that supply and demand is causing massive problems for all of us, you know, except for lucky fuckers like me who I got my mortgage in 2006 and my payments are fairly low compared to like what people are fucking paying in rent. Like my mortgage is less than half of what the average person, I'd say, is paying in rent.
No houses going for 500 grand and they're, you know.
I saw a house in Dublin going like in a housing estate. Now it looks okay, like, but I made 1.1 million for a house in a housing estate.
You don't think it.
And it's a 4-bed, you know.
And just
no privacy, nothing, like, you know, walls.
If you came up with saying, if there's a house for 500 grand, right? If you said, okay, I'll give you the 500 grand if you were to get a mortgage, you're competing with how many other people.
Yeah.
Another person might say, it might end up selling for 600 grand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. People are like, they're going, okay, that has 400 start, and a bidding war fucking begins. And you hear this shit now, they're doing 4-person mortgages. Have you heard of this?
No.
Yeah, like, and see, Irish people won't. It's not like if you and I were the same age now and we were looking for a house. It's not like we'd go, do you know what, John? You and your missus and me and my missus, we'll all buy this house together and we'll all live in this house. We wouldn't fucking do that.
No.
But Indians will do that, and they are doing that. Do you know? So it's like different cultures. Like, I don't know who was saying it. I think it was Khabib Nurmagomedov was talking about. He's a Muslim, right? And Muslims tend to all live in the same house together. They have 3 generations.
Yeah.
They're different that way.
That's our culture.
We in Ireland,
like a privacy.
No fucking way I'm living with my parents after 20 years old, 22 years old, out, like, you know.
Yeah.
That's normal for us. For them, they have a different
culture,
different culture with them. So like Indians are going, oh, brilliant, we can get a 4-person mortgage. That's fucking cool. Me and my brother and the 2 wives will fucking live here. And how do you compete with that as a couple in Ireland? Like,
plus, like, I was talking to this guy the other day, and he's a doctor, and he was saying, like, when I think he's in his late 40s, early 50s, like, but he was saying when he graduated from college, and they didn't leave the country or go traveling because you just kind of go into the doctor training, and you just kind of like find a job here, and you kind of settle down here, because I don't think jobs were that plenty, as in they weren't crying out for doctors and all. No, they can't get them. So there's people coming in from India and everything, and look, they're doing great jobs and everything, but what's happening there then is all the posts are being filled by people that are coming into the country. And then they have to go elsewhere. Like, all these doctors are going to Australia as well.
Yeah.
And they're setting up shop there, like a load of other Irish people. And
I think I heard 13,000 Irish nurses left Ireland in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
And then they're on about, like my granddad there had a bad fall. He got vertigo there maybe about 2 months ago, and he was assigned to regional hospital, and like, there was a male nurse that came in. He's from Africa, lovely fella. He was actually great crack. And you're beyond about different cultures, but there's an old man, gentleman. He's maybe in his early 80s, but he's a proper like Irish way about him. And he just goes to the nurse. He says, "Is there any chance I can get my tea? It was put into the fridge there earlier today." And he said, your tea? And he says, yeah, my tea. I didn't eat it earlier on, so it's inside the fridge. So then your man went off, and the nurse, and he came back after a few minutes, and he said, sir, I can't find your tea in the fridge, but I made you a new cup.
Yeah, it's
And then he said, no. And then he said, my tea, like my tea. He didn't say sandwiches or anything, but then it took another lady that was sitting across the way in the ward or in the room, and she said, no, here in Ireland we'd say tea, like it might be your sandwich and stuff. And he goes, oh, okay, no problem. But it's just simple stuff like that. And then there's like, I don't want to mention the place now, but I suppose I can't really. But it was like a rehab centre in a town not so far from Limerick, and where like people be going doing the physios and stuff. It's for the elderly people as well. And like when I went there to visit my granddad at night, it might be in the evening time, I didn't see one Irish person there. Like they were all like, there was African descent or maybe Asian or I think Indians and stuff. No, lovely people. But I was like, where the fuck are all these people that are going for these jobs? Like, and sure, any ones that I know, like they're out in Australia or Canada, and
I suppose.
No, I know like the Irish have done that. Like the Irish have gone everywhere and they have been everywhere, and like it's not like that we're not welcoming people into the country. That's the way I'd be saying, but it's kind of getting to a point of how many are actually going to be native in their country in the next decade or two.
Yeah.
Do you know?
That's it, man. It's a fucking problem. It's a problem.
Like I've seen this thing as well the other day. This bishop, I think he's from Italy, but he was saying that he saw this study, and funnily enough, you'll be on about synchronicities. I saw the same paper a few days before that online, and the whole thing was that by 2030 or 40, there was this prediction that Islamics coming to, I think, France and England, and I think there was a couple of other countries in the EU, that they were having kids at a rate of like maybe 4 or 5 or 4 to 8 kids on average, let's say, coming to France. And then the French were like having maybe 1 to 2 kids.
Yeah.
And by 2030 or 2040, there was some year that they predicted that the natives in them countries would become minorities.
Yeah.
And sure, Richard Donoghue, TD, they're independent. He said it there only not so long ago in the Dáil, and he was getting backlash from it. He says it was a white supremacist comment by someone else. But he said, look, we're just trying to look after, make it better here, make it more attractive here for people, Irish young people, to build lives here so that they don't have to go away and trying to. And people go away to enjoy the crack as well. Like I'm going to Dubai, like I just want to go as well to kind of like the experience and stuff. Try and make a bit of pound, but there's some people that are moving out of the country solely just to make money because they can't make it here. And they're going to come back. They won't be able to buy a fucking house like before they were. But that's global. But Richard Donoghue said that. He said you kind of have to look after your own culture, because, not saying that we're not welcoming anyone into the place, but if the Irish become a minority here, like what's the story here?
Yeah,
like, and then he's just giving backlash. Like,
man, it's so fucking obvious. Like you take a country like Fiji, right? They're like 20% the size of us population wise, right? 25% the size of us. Now, if Irish, Scots, Welsh, and English decide, you know what, I wouldn't mind a fucking gaff in Fiji, and life is better over there, and the Fijian government are giving fucking grants for people like us to head on over there, make it very easy for us to buy property, make it very easy for us to set up businesses and stuff like that. And if all of a sudden the Fijians are sitting over there kind of going, there's like 300, 400,000 fucking Irish, Scottish, Welsh, and English here now. And they're kind of like, I bought a house in an estate, and everyone in the estate is Irish. You're going, this is fucking weird. Like, they wouldn't be racist for going, I'd rather hang out with some Fijian lads. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what they know. And it's natural. Birds of a feather flock together, like, and this idea that we have to embrace multiculturalism, and we're seeing things like, see, this isn't the deep ponder now. This is the deep depression podcast. but fucking, like, when you're definitely seeing situations in Ireland in the last week where an Indian girl got verbally abused by some Irish kids, and it blew up on the media. Irish are racist, and we have to do more to help the Indian community. Bearing in mind, there's 1 billion of them, and there's only 4 million of us. Like, but we even talk about minorities. And then in the same week, there was a video. I don't know if you saw it, of one Irish guy. I thought it was down New Weld. I don't know where it was. It looked like the open fields in New Weld. There was some charity football match going on somewhere, and something kicked off anyway. And you just see this footage of one Irish guy running for his life, and what looked like 100 Africans chasing after him, and a dozen of them caught up with him and beat the living shit out of him, knocked him unconscious. No story about that. Now, can you imagine a fucking story in Ireland where one black kid is running through a field and you've got 50 fucking Irish young fellas chasing after him, and they catch up with him and they beat the living shit out of him, and that being ignored by the media? So, like, it's very antagonistic, and people are rightfully getting frustrated. And, you know, I have kids, and ultimately, like, when you have your own kids, all you care really about is your own kids and the environment that they're growing up in, and all this stuff about caring about wars over there and refugees coming in from over here. That doesn't mean anything to parents who just want to take care of their own kids. And ultimately, like, we're designed and we're built to look after our own first. And what's best for my kids is what's best for our Irish kids. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I want. And I really don't care if you're from 5,000 miles away and you've had a hard time. If it's going to impact on my environment negatively, then, you know, you're on your own.
But that's the same as everyone is in every part. Everyone, your family's number one. You know, no matter where you're coming from.
Yeah, and like
anywhere on the planet.
I'd speak up my folks. They came in from the airport the other day, like, and this is protesters fucking protesting about Palestine or something like that. And it's like, lads, you're not doing anything. You're just causing a traffic jam. And like, actually, it's kind of, I was looking at the people that were there, and these people aren't poor people. Do you know what I mean? They're not struggling. They don't have a genuine struggle in their own lives. Like, normal people in Ireland have, like, health issues, financial issues. You know, they got problems with their kids. They've got real struggles that they're powering through, and they're trying to get by. And then you've got these people who have no struggle. They've no kids. They've no problems. They've no financial issues. And so they're searching for some to fill this void, and they're picking whatever fucking popular war that they want. You know, a couple of years ago was I stand with Ukraine. No one's standing with Ukrainians anymore. That's not fashionable anymore. Now it's Palestine.
Yeah.
And in 10 years, 5 years, I mean, it'll be someone else that they'll be crying over.
There's all this
They don't have their own problems. Like, if you're, like, for example, like, if you're fucking dying of cancer and your life is ending, you're not really worried about the problems of other people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just
that thing about Netanyahu, Benjamin, Netanyahu, like you're saying, he's a plan now to take over Gaza, and is to free the people there.
Right.
And he said he said if Hamas just dropped their weapons, the war will be over now. But they're not going to do that. Like. And just drop the weapons and release the hostages. So what about the hostages that Israel? Like, we haven't a clue what's going on. Like,
that's it.
We're only told what the media is telling us. We have not a clue what's going on. Like,
I'd say we have it wrong. I'd say everything they're telling us is bullshit. And both sides. Like, do you ever hear the term atrocity propaganda? It's like when you just make up crazy shit to dehumanize your enemy. And both sides were engaging in atrocity propaganda, claiming, oh, Israeli soldiers are literally cutting babies out of women's bellies and throwing them on the street. And then you go across the other side and they're going, no, Hamas are fucking killing babies and they're fucking chopping them up. And it just makes anyone, like, people pick their side then as well. Do you know, like, if you there's nobody out there going, I'm pro-Palestine, and then listening to an argument and going, Jesus, I didn't think about it that way. Now I might have to fucking re-examine my beliefs. You know, it's just, people are just.
Well, I'd be, and this kind of sounds a bit kind of hippie-ish, but I'd be kind of pro-life. I'm not pro any side, right? But when you see photos online of bags or these kids in, like, on blankets and they're dead, 5 or 6 kids, and this is happening day to day, hour to hour, fucking, and a frequency of that, and there's people sitting over a fucking desk saying bomb here and bomb there.
Yeah.
Like, these people are fucking psychopaths. There's something wrong with you. Do not how could you think that you're bombing these people and you're literally taking out entire families and innocent children that are struggling and starving, and it's absolutely a joke. And then you have these billionaires across the world, and are you telling me that they can't solve world hunger?
Yeah, sure.
And these fucking wars and war crimes. How can war crimes, crimes against war? Like, what is war? Only fucking rich people or people in power that are putting poor people or brainwashing them into thinking that an ideology is right and fighting for a cause that benefits no one, only the fucking elite. It's fucking ridiculous, man.
Yeah. There you go now, John. This is not the deep ponder. This is not what we're all about here, getting riled up.
Yeah. I wanted to finish on kind of like that South Park episode there that we were talking about. That is on a light or not. The one, it's just episode 1 of season 27, the new one, and I just seen a clip of it on YouTube, and it's hilarious. Donald Trump inside bed with the devil.
Oh my God.
And
They're
then-
playing with the devil's nipples. Man, come on, like this is like it's funny, but it's sick, like, you know.
And then the devil's like,
Oh, I'm not in the mood.
and he's like, "Come on, Satan." He's like, "Relax, guy.
God,
Relax." And he goes, "No, because I need to know if it's true what they're saying about you." And he goes, "Come on, Satan, what's wrong with you?" And then he's saying, "I want to know if it's true if you're on the Epstein files." And he says, "Relax, guy, never mind them files." And he says, "You want some of this? Come on, you can't resist it." And he pulls down the fence. He just shows his smile.
Oh my God.
And then he ends up, so South Park get sick of of Donald Trump and his administration's anti-woke movements and campaigns. So they're missing the woke kind of life.
Yeah.
So then they end up, so Trump hears this and he sues South Park. And then he wants like, was it $1 billion or something from him? And then your man, the mayor, he kind of like makes a deal with Trump and negotiates it down to like 1.5 million. And then all the townsfolk are like, "Okay, that's not okay." Okay, but there's another thing. We have to put out pro-Trump, a pro-Trump kind of campaign, kind of an ad, and he'll be happy then as well. And we just pay off the 1.5. So then they do this like AI generated deep fake Donald Trump ad where he's like walking through the desert, kind of like a Jesus Christ kind of figure. It's like, Donald J. Trump, what he's done for the American people. He's our hero and our salvation. And it's just like Trump is just like slowly getting naked in the heat, and he's like taking off all his clothes, and he pulls down his jocks, and it shows he's passed out on the ground then, and it just shows his little cock just shriveling up like this, and there's a pair of eyes, and it's like cartoon eyes.
Yeah, nice work with the thumb there, John. The camera. Just in case you're not sure what it's all about. It's just like this.
And but actually, I heard it's a brilliant episode. You have to watch it. But I don't watch South Park, but it was absolutely brilliant. But then I heard a thing behind the scenes, and the makers of that, the two of them, forget their names, but they had a bit of a argument with the with Paramount, because they said, "Oh, we're not leaving your show, Trump's penis." And I think, not a hope.
Okay.
And he says, "Come on, you leave us to everything else, just do it." He said, no, not a hope. So he says, "Okay, we'll put cartoon eyes on it, and it'll be kind of like more like a character." So that's why the cartoon eyes are on it.
Okay.
Because it was even a bit too much for
Oh my God.
the powers that be.
Yeah.
But funny enough, I think not so long before that episode aired, only a couple of weeks, Trump's administration had given Paramount a little pump of like $14 million, kind of like, I suppose, a homegrown kind of company,
Yeah.
kind of like, promoting it, one of their Make America Great Again movements. And then they come back with that episode. And then Trump's spokeswoman comes out and she says that I was just so fucking, just showing, it didn't paint Trump, he kind of went against himself, like he was saying that South Park, they're just scraping the barrel for content, and they're on the decline the last decade or something. They're not relevant anymore. Like, just acting like a fucking egomaniac.
Yeah,
Like it's a TV show, just laugh about
Yeah,
it.
you just gotta take a slag and keep going.
Exactly, yeah. But like, how's he? like, do you remember his thing there a couple of weeks, well, a month ago now as well, when Iran and Israel was happening, and he's just he let loose on the live on with the reporter, and he says, "Look, they don't know what the fuck they're doing." Like, when has a president of America, supposedly the strongest state in the world, ever cursed like that? Like, no, but he just.
He's cursed a few times. I think people kind of like this. They don't want him. I think his character. I think he's just in character. I think they don't want him. Like, they don't want a robot politician. They want a businessman and a human with real feelings who isn't afraid to, vent his frustration. So I don't know. It plays into some stuff for them, but the Epstein files have not been released. Actually, it's funny. Actually, the whole woke is dead or woke is dying thing. Like, Hartman getting pissed off because it's now socially acceptable to slag the Jews, and he's like, this isn't fun for me anymore. But there's this guy. I wouldn't really be a fan of him. He's a comedian. I think he has a YouTube channel called Awaken with JP. Ever come across this guy?
No.
Well, he did a skit, and the skit is basically he plays both characters. And one character has been in a coma since Trump won. He got so excited, he jumped up, banged his head off something, and he's been in a coma for 6 months. And he wakes up, and your man's like, "Okay, 6 months into the presidency, so we got the Epstein list." And he's like, "No, I haven't got that." Like, and he was like,
I think I've
he's going to listen off all the stuff. He's like, "No, I didn't do that." He goes, "What about transgenders in women's sports?" He's like, "Yeah, definitely got the transgenders in women's sports. No trannies allowed in women's sports." And your man goes, "So is women's sports really good now?" And he's like, "Nah, it's still a bit shit. Like, in fact, it was not better before when the men were fucking destroying the women. At least we had something to. At least it was more entertaining to watch these swimmers fucking lapping them and stuff, But that's the end of woke."
Yeah. I say we were thinking as well, like, we might do a little episode in the future where soon enough we might do it live for the crack.
Yeah.
Even sure there's only a few people, I'm sure we can just interact.
Even if there's only one.
Even if there's only one.
I'll call the wife. I'll go, "Baby, you got to get on."
Had to be a bit of crack, to kind of like.
Yeah. Come on, have a chat with us.
And sure, this is the last one that we'll be here together for probably a while, but we'll be doing it virtually.
When are you back? Are you come back?
I might come back. No, I'd say I'll come back next summer, maybe for a month or 6 weeks or something. Okay. So we might do one then together, but to be all virtual.
Yeah.
We'll do it sure to be the same crack.
Mm-hmm.
We'll still be talking absolute shite.
Yeah.
But sure, look, I think we might leave it there.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Hopefully we'll get another one up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do the live one. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think that'll be a bit of crack.
All right. Okay.
Right.